Joining us now in the studios, Aaron Rice. He is the director of the Mississippi Justice Institute, former Lance Corporal of the United States Marine Corps. Aaron, always good to see you.
Yeah, Gerard, thanks for having me.
So we wanted to have you on because we got Memorial Day coming up, as it always does, either the last or next to last Monday of May. I'm not sure exactly what day it's.
Yeah, it's May 30th this year.
Yeah, May 30th is coming Monday. So for the benefit of our audience, please explain the difference between the distinction between Veterans Day and Memorial Day.
Yeah, no, great. I'm glad you asked. Veterans Day obviously is for any veteran who served, and so that's your veterans who are alive today that are walking around, and you tell them thank you for your service. Memorial Day is meant to honor and remember those veterans who did not make it home, so made the ultimate sacrifice and died overseas, in protection and service to our country. Now, I'll say, some people seem to, get kind of, you see memes on Facebook or wherever that say, "Oh, don't thank people for their service. It's terrible." I don't know any veterans that get upset if somebody thanks me for my service on Memorial Day, which happens all the time. I'm not upset by it, and I'm not going around scolding people by it. But I do think it's great to kind of help people understand the difference in those days.
Yeah, because sometimes they do get interchanged or conflated. But we really. I don't know any veterans that ever get upset if you thank them for their service, because it just happens to be at or around Memorial Day, which is for the purpose of recognizing those, as you said, who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
It is, and people have good intentions by it, and I don't take any offense to it. Another related issue is that you'll see a lot of things on Facebook that say, like, in case you thought it was National Barbecue Day, and we'll show somebody, weeping at a graveside and all that. And look, don't get me wrong. Memorial Day, I personally, it is very important to me, and I have been with the families of my friends who lost their lives overseas, and I've been with their wives and their children and their parents, and I've seen, the gaping hole that they left behind and just how important that day is. And so it is very important to me, and I do take a moment on the day to think about those friends of mine and everybody who paid the ultimate sacrifice. But nevertheless, again, going back to what I was saying, usually when I see people sharing that, it's honestly usually civilians who are not veterans who are saying that. I think your average veteran, and again, there may be some veterans, I can't speak for all, there may be some veterans who get upset by kind of the commercialization of Memorial Day, oh, here's a sale, or Happy Memorial Day, and barbecuing and all that. But I would just venture to say, again, that I think most veterans, don't expect people to sit around and mourn all day and cry all day or anything. I do think it's great to have that day to, and I think veterans, for the most part, are going to be the ones that are doing a lot of the remembering, because we knew the guys that didn't make it back.
That's right.
But for all of us to just have the day, maybe take a moment to pause and think about it, and then also, yes, enjoy the day. That's great.
Got started in 1868, originally termed as Decoration Day.
Yeah, decorating the graves of this. And that goes exactly to my point, was that the original intent was for veterans to go to the cemeteries and decorate the graves, and that's why it was put in May, is because flowers would be in bloom, and so you could decorate the graves. But again, that illustrates my point. I think it was, it's going to, just like veterans fought the wars, and especially today, we kind of have a separation between civilians who don't bear the brunt of that. We've got less than 1%, will be involved in these foreign wars today. I think veterans are used to that concept, that we're going to be the ones that are probably doing most of the, honoring or decorating graves or visiting the graves or our family members and all that. But I do think it's good to have the day for the broader population. And I think, look, in my experience, Mississippians very much want to honor the day and think about it. And like I said, anything that might be a little bit incorrect, if you want to say that, is usually from a place of goodwill. It's like you said, someone saying happy Memorial Day, or thank you for your service, and those are all fine. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's been my experience as well. So we should point out that it became an official holiday 100 years after the first one was celebrated in 1968.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
It became an official holiday at that time, and it's one of the few days that the flags are ordered at half-staff on Memorial Day. So you served in the United States Marine Corps.
Yep.
Achieved the rank of Lance Corporal. And where were you over there?
Well, I went to Haditha, Iraq, and this was in 2005. which it was just that's in Al-Anbar province of Iraq. And if people can remember back to 2005, they probably remember that Al-Anbar was just the Wild West of Iraq. Not a good place to be, especially in that time frame. And so it wound up being nobody foresaw this, but it wound up being the case that our battalion was the hardest hit Marine battalion in the entire Iraq War. I mean, it was just very heavy losses. I was one of the first casualties. Actually, I was the first casualty in our battalion.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so, but also, lost a lot of friends after I was injured. And so, it was just, it was very hard on our entire battalion, the family members of our battalion, me personally, losing those friends. And so, very tough thing. But again, that's why it's so important to me. And I know it is to you and to a lot of people in Mississippi to take the day to, the moment to remember that and think about that and honor that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you lost part of your leg.
Yeah, that's right.
There.
That's right. I did. So, that's what I was alluding to when I said I was the first casualty. So I kind of forget sometimes that people may not know. But yeah, I was in Iraq and driving a Humvee and hit an anti-tank landmine. And so that destroyed my Humvee, and I lost my left leg below the knee. Thankfully, nobody else in my Humvee was injured, which is one of the things that I'm, was very grateful for. But nevertheless, I mean, despite that, I mean, I recovered very well. Came back to Walter Reed Army Medical Center and Bethesda National Naval Medical Center. Got excellent care, prosthetic rehabilitation. Did fine. Ran a 10-mile race 2 months after I got a prosthetic leg. And, so for me, I mean, serving with the guys that I got to serve with was just the absolute honor of my life. And, losing a leg is not something that takes anything away from that. And really, like I said, the only hard part of it was losing friends, not being injured.
Well, thank you for your service.
Appreciate
and your
that.
Sacrifice,
Thank
of course. So do you come from a military family, Aaron? What inspired you? Did you join right out of high school?
Yeah, I did. So September 11th happened my senior year of high school, and so that was kind of the genesis of this. Now, my grandfather was a Marine, served on Iwo Jima. The military was kind of something I'd always considered in high school. But by the time that all happened, I decided I was going to go to state, Mississippi State, and do college and be a lawyer or something like that. And so then 9/11 happened, and that really changed everything for me. So, you got to remember back then that people my age had never seen war, did not understand really the context of what had just happened. But I was, even at that young age, really enjoyed history, and I really did understand the significance of it immediately. And I decided I'm joining up because we're about to go to war. And I can actually remember being at football practice that day on 9/11 and one of my friends saying, what do y'all think is going to happen now? And I spoke up and said, well, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. I mean, we just got attacked on U.S. soil. We're going to war. And literally everybody in the area with me scoffed and laughed at that because we had no concept at that age. I mean, young people today are just used to seeing America constantly at war. Yeah. But for us at that age, nobody really had a concept. They thought of war as something that was in the history books that you read about, but not something that could personally happen to you or affect you. So anyway, but yeah, I did understand that. And so I started the process then of joining the Marine Corps so that I could deploy in defense of our country because I knew that our country was under attack. And so it took, a good while to get into the Marine Corps, and then ultimately wound up being deployed in 2005 to Iraq.
Yeah, that's a good point that at that time, really you'd have to look back to Vietnam.
Exactly. Which we were not alive for in my age group. Yeah.
Right. My era growing up, my brother served in Strategic Air Command during Vietnam. But since then, as you indicate, it's been relatively constant.
Yes, it has been. And it's been interesting to me kind of watching the younger generation under me come up because their experience is so much different than ours. And that's, I want to say, that's one thing that I do think is important here. This is the first Memorial Day that we're celebrating in peacetime for 20 years. And I really do think, I mean, talking to some of these younger kids too, I mean, you can almost grow numb to the losses that we've suffered. I know there was war fatigue for a long time back in 2005 when I served. People were just checking out of it and done with it. And so I think this is a great year to really say, look, the wars are over. And it's time for us to really recommit ourselves to this. Don't be numb to it. Yes, we've been at war for 20 years. We are going to honor the guys that didn't make it back and think about that.
Yeah, it's important. We got a break here. You want to hang around?
Yeah,
keep talking, see what else is going on. We've got Aaron Rice in the Element Well Studios with us. We'll be right back. John in Hardeman, Tennessee. Aaron wants to say, thank you, sir, for being a great American and a Marine.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Appreciate that, John. So, and that kind of leads me to a question, Aaron. Since 9/11, which, looking back, I can't remember another time in my lifetime, even, where the country really did seem to rally around a common cause.
Absolutely.
As we did after 9/11.
Yep.
Patriotism was off the chart. And it seems like we were able to at least put our political differences on the shelf for a while.
Absolutely.
That doesn't seem to be the case today. But my question to you as a veteran is, has the attitude towards veterans changed over the decades here, since you've served up to now? Has that changed any?
Well, I mean, I think it absolutely changed from Vietnam to my era. You know, obviously, Vietnam vets came home and got spit on and all kind of terrible things. And I just want to say, if you're a Vietnam veteran out there, thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys, I came home to parades and tons of gratitude from across the political spectrum. And honestly, I felt like unwarranted gratitude most of the time because I felt like I really had not done that, that much, and then had just, kind of gone to serve and do what I'd signed up to do, and happened to get hurt and was really okay other than that. But just absolutely incredible, overwhelming gratitude everywhere I turned. And Vietnam veterans didn't have that at all. I mean, it was just despicable. And so, again, if you're a Vietnam veteran, thank you for your service. You should have been told that a lot more when you came back. But absolutely it changed from Vietnam to then. I'd say my entire experience as a veteran has always been overwhelming gratitude. Of course, back in 2005 when the wars were at their height, I'd say, maybe more. I mean, a little bit more, but I'd say that's just more because it was in the news, and we were still experiencing the effects every day. We had flag draped coffins coming home every day and all of that. But I've always been, you said it, 9/11. I think, obviously a lot changed. I mean, we came together, we rallied around the flag, and that has gone away. You're right. But one thing that did not go away is, for me, that entire intervening 20 years, people, I don't care if they're where they are on the political spectrum, left, right, center, independent, what they are. People have always been, very respectful to me and to other veterans, and thank us for our service. Again, maybe I feel like too much sometimes, but for me at least, and but whether they agreed with the war or not, again, Iraq was a very controversial war.
Yeah,
I mean, even Afghanistan became a very controversial war over time. And so I think I've told you this before. I mean, when it was amazing because when we were in Iraq, we didn't care about the politics of it one bit. The military, the guys that I served with, did not care about the politics. And it was being fought about and discussed at home every single day. But we were just there doing our job and did not care about that. But even when we would come back and talk to people who had been involved in those fights and the politics of it and had strong feelings about it, and a lot of the people I spoke with were probably opposed to the war in Iraq.
Yeah.
Everybody set that aside when they talked to me, and they could distinguish between, perhaps opposing the war in Iraq and speaking with me, a veteran who served in that war, and having, respecting what I did and the sacrifice that I made and other people that I knew had made.
Yeah. I guess it's just kind of been an ebb and flow in our history, and certainly World War II, World War I, World War II, Korean War.
Yeah.
Different time periods, but it was really Vietnam because it was kind of a politician's war to a great extent, and there was no clear objective, and we really didn't come out with a win. You couldn't really put a mark on it and say, we won that one and something changed. In fact, just the opposite happened. We left in a vacuum form, kind of like what happened in Afghanistan. And North Vietnam, and the communists took over and changed South Vietnam.
And like you're saying, I mean, it was also opposed, very heavily here in the U.S., kind of, more so than the Iraq War I was just discussing. And so, but if you had an unpopular war, you could at least maybe console yourself or console, service members could console themselves, find consolation in the fact that we won and we changed something, we prevented something really bad from happening. And just like you said, so not only was it unpopular at home, but then the objective really wasn't achieved either. And we had a botched withdrawal, like you said, like we had in Afghanistan, which was one of the things as a veteran that was so frustrating to me about Afghanistan is that we had seen this story play out.
Exactly.
I mean, we knew what could happen if we did it that way. And you know, we absolutely should have been able to handle that differently so that we did not have scenes that looked like Saigon coming out of Afghanistan and going into the history books and kind of putting a black mark on the service of all of our Afghanistan veterans and the U.S. in general and all of that. So that was very frustrating. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, for the Vietnam vets, it was just a totally different experience.
Man, I was actually went to visit my brother who was stationed at Beale Air Force Base in Marysville, California, and flew through San Francisco for that. And remember seeing all the protesters gathered up at the airport. We didn't have all the security like you do today.
Yeah.
And the service guys coming off in full uniform. And the treatment they got was despicable.
Yeah. Let me tell you why you say that. You literally reminded me of something I'd totally forgotten about. But so when I was at Walter Reed, once I got out of being an inpatient, I stayed in a hotel in Silver Spring, Maryland, and every day would drive onto the base at Walter Reed Army Medical Center for my physical therapy. And I forgot this, but there was actually a group of protesters outside the gate at Walter Reed every single day for the 9 months I was there. Every single day. Oh, wow. But my point is, I talked about how people were so grateful, and even having said that, we're talking about this small little band of people who would come out there to me, I thought, I serve for your right to do that kind of stuff, and it's totally fine with me that you're out there.
It was a lot more widespread and pervasive during Vietnam. This is just a bad deal.
Exactly.
All right, so give us a brief update, what you got going on at the Justice Institute. I know you got some high-profile cases.
So we, you may have seen recently, we kind of won a case that we had sued on behalf of a weight loss coach here in Madison. The government was telling her that even though she had a degree in nutrition and all of this, she could not tell people how to lose weight. And by the way, we're the fattest state in the nation. I'm not kidding. We have the #1 rate of obesity. She's trying to help people with that, and the government said, nope, you've got to be a licensed dietitian. Again, she wasn't trying to treat medical conditions or anything. It was literally just, here's how you can drop a couple pounds. So the government threatened to throw her in jail and fine her $1,000 and file a civil suit against her if she didn't stop. We filed a lawsuit on behalf of her. Her name is Donna Harris. She works here in Madison. And so we just got the law changed a couple months ago where now anybody in Mississippi, and that law has actually just recently gone into effect. So anybody in Mississippi who wants to teach people how to lose weight can do that without having a dietitian's license. Now, you just have to make sure you don't claim to be a licensed dietitian and you don't try to treat a medical condition. As long as you do, you stay in line with that, you're fine. So that was the latest one we had. Of course, you know that we're still litigating that certificate of need case. As you know, Gerard, the wheels of justice grind very slowly. And so we know we've overcome a motion to dismiss on that. We are now in the phase of getting into what's called discovery. And so we're just kind of doing – that's going to take it's going to probably be a year before that case really gets to the end of the track. But we're continuing on with that. And then, of course, if anybody is listening, we're always in search for – new good cases. Of course, we can't take every case that comes our way, but we're always looking. So if you're a citizen in Mississippi that you believe that your constitutional rights are being violated by some kind of government action that's maybe keeping you from earning a living or keeping you from speaking freely or exercising your gun rights or whatever the case may be, religious liberty, we're always searching for people who are experiencing that so that we can help them with those problems. And that's one of the things we're doing right now too, is kind of going around the state educating people on the work that we're doing, the work we've already done. The Mississippi Justice Institute has been around, for around 6 years now. And so, I think we've got a little bit of a track record now of being able to help people with these. And it's not just talking the talk, telling people what we want to do, but we can show people a track record of success and being able to come into court and change these government policies pretty much single-handedly, and so that's one of the things we're doing too.
Before you go, a couple of minutes, any thoughts about the Dobbs case? Might get a ruling any day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you and I have discussed the leak itself is just I'm still blown away that happened, and it's
been quiet. Haven't heard anything about that.
It has been quiet, and you still don't see really a lot of outrage about the fact that it happened.
Yep.
And I think it really hurts the U.S. Supreme Court moving forward. The ability of the justices to be candid with each other and to have the discussions they need to have. But aside from that, I do think it looks, all indications are that opinion is going to hold sway, I mean, we're going to get a majority opinion that looks like something close to what we already saw. And so I'm glad about that. I think that Roe v. Wade was absolutely, not correct law from day one. And, everybody who wants to lose their mind about that, I mean, we've got federalism in America, and you can talk to, the people who run your state about what policy you would like to see in your state. And the policy in California is not going to be the policy in Mississippi, and that's okay. That's a good thing.
The left says it's the end of democracy. I argue no, it's actually a shining sample.
This is an example of democracy. I mean, what do you mean? And what you had was the courts really usurped something. So
appreciate it, Aaron. Thanks for coming on. Good to see you.
Good seeing you too,
Thank you for
Gerard.
your service. We'll be right back.